The soft hum of computers filled the silent halls of the lunar observatory. Red warning lights flashed across the main screen as the Deep Space Monitoring System detected something unusual. Dr. James Walker rubbed his tired eyes, wondering if the coffee had finally failed him after his 18-hour shift. But the signal remained steady, growing stronger with each passing moment. At first, it seemed like normal space noise, the kind of random signals they picked up from distant stars. But this was different. It had a pattern, a clear structure that couldn't be natural. James called over his team members, their footsteps echoing through the metal corridors of the station. "Look at this frequency pattern," he said, pointing at the screen. "It's repeating every 12 seconds, but with slight variations. This isn't random. This is a message." The team worked through the night, their excitement growing as they fed the signal through their decoding systems. Earth had received alien signals before, but most were just echoes of dead civilizations. This one was fresh, powerful, and aimed directly at Earth. The first part of the message made their blood run cold. It came from a civilization calling themselves the Survivors, and they spoke of a terrible force moving through the galaxy. A massive fleet of conquerors who had destroyed thousands of worlds, leaving nothing but dust and broken planets in their wake. "They're coming," James whispered, reading the translated text. "They're heading straight for our solar system." But there was more to the message. The survivors hadn't just sent a warning. They'd sent hope. These unstoppable conquerors had a weakness, something that had nearly defeated them once before. The team leaned forward, their hearts pounding as the next part of the message began to decode. Then disaster struck. A power surge ripped through the station's systems. Sparks flew from the main computer, and the screens flickered wildly. When they finally got the systems back online, the signal was gone, lost in the vast emptiness of space. The final part of the message, the part about the weakness, was corrupted beyond repair. James slammed his fist on the desk in frustration. They had the warning, but not the solution. His hand shook as he reached for the direct line to Earth's United Defense Council. This wasn't just another scientific discovery. This was humanity's first real warning of an approaching storm. The Council didn't believe him at first. How could they? It sounded like something from a science fiction story. But the data was clear, and the mathematical patterns in the signal proved it came from an advanced civilization. As James presented his findings to the Council through video link, the observatory's long-range scanners picked up something new. Massive objects were entering the outer edges of the solar system, moving faster than anything natural should. The alien fleet wasn't coming. It was already here. "We need to broadcast this warning to every major government," one council member said, panic edging into his voice. "No," James replied, an idea forming in his mind. "Look at the pattern of their approach. They're being careful, testing our detection capabilities. They think we're primitive, barely able to reach our own moon." He pulled up more scan data, showing the fleet's formation. "They're not trying to hide from advanced scanning systems. They don't think we have any. They're not using their most advanced stealth technology because they don't think we could spot it anyway." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had taken a different path than most civilizations. While others reached for the stars first, humans had dived deep into quantum physics, dark matter manipulation, and energy field technology. Their space program might look primitive, but their understanding of the universe's fundamental forces was anything but. "If they think we're primitive," James continued, "then maybe that's exactly what we should let them think. The warning message might be corrupted, but we don't need it. Our greatest advantage is that they don't know our true capabilities." As he spoke, another alert flashed on his screen. The alien fleet had passed Neptune's orbit. They had days, maybe a week at most, to prepare. But as fear gripped the hearts of those who knew what was coming, a small smile crossed James's face. These conquerors thought they were hunting primitive prey, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The United Defense Council's emergency chamber buzzed with tense voices as Admiral Mary Thompson stood before the massive screen. Red dots marked the alien fleet's steady advance through their solar system. She pointed at the largest cluster of signals, her hand steady despite the weight of the moment. "They're moving slower than they could," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "They want us to see them coming. They want us to be afraid." The room fell silent as she pulled up more data. 50 ships in the main fleet, each larger than anything humanity had ever built. Behind them, hundreds of smaller vessels spread out in attack formation. It was enough firepower to turn Earth into space dust. Tom Richards, the youngest commander in the room, stepped forward. His time working with quantum weapons development had earned him a seat at this table, even if some thought him too inexperienced for such high-level meetings. "We should look weak," he said, earning confused looks from the older military leaders. The warning signal Dr. Walker received, before it was corrupted, mentioned these aliens had a weakness. What if their weakness is their pride? Their certainty that they're superior? Admiral Thompson nodded slowly, understanding forming in her eyes. "You're suggesting we let them think they've caught us unprepared." "Better than that," Tom replied, walking to the central display. "We show them exactly what they expect to see. A primitive species just reaching for the stars. Let them think our most advanced weapons are simple nuclear missiles and laser satellites." He pulled up files on humanity's true defensive capabilities. The quantum grid generators, hidden in underground bases across Earth and the Moon. The dark matter manipulation systems disguised as regular power plants. The entanglement communicators that looked like ordinary radio towers. "We've hidden our most advanced technology in plain sight for decades," he continued. "Not because we planned for aliens, but because every nation feared showing their true strength. Now that secrecy might save us all." The council members exchanged looks. What Tom suggested was risky. If they miscalculated, if they showed weakness for too long, the aliens might strike before they could respond. But the alternative, revealing their true strength too soon, might be worse. "We need 3 days," Admiral Thompson said after studying the fleet's approach pattern. 3 days to power up the quantum grid without being detected. 3 days to link all our defense systems through the entanglement network. Tom pointed at the alien fleet's energy readings. "Their shields operate on principles we understand. Conventional energy fields, just more powerful than anything we've officially built. But they don't show any signs of quantum manipulation technology. They don't even seem to be looking for it." The council voted. The decision was made. Earth would play weak. They would show the aliens exactly what they expected to see. Primitive missile silos, basic energy shields, and outdated space fighters. All while beneath the surface, humanity's true weapons would power up, hidden behind quantum fields that the alien scanners couldn't detect. Military bases across the planet received their orders. Show standard defensive preparations, nothing more. Civilian governments were told to act afraid but dignified, as if preparing for possible defeat while hoping for mercy. The performance had to be perfect. Tom watched from the council chamber window as outside, workers began dismantling the decorative metal sculptures that lined the streets. Quantum field generators disguised as public art. Below ground, those same generators would continue their real work, building the energy network that would power humanity's true defense grid. 3 days, he muttered, watching the alien fleet's position markers creep closer to Mars. "We just need them to give us 3 days." Admiral Thompson joined him at the window, her face reflecting in the glass. "They're so certain of their power, so sure of their superiority. They've probably destroyed 1,000 worlds that fought back with everything they had. But they've never met anyone who played weak," Tom replied. "Never faced a species that developed quantum manipulation before reaching for the stars. They don't know that while they were building bigger ships and stronger lasers, we were learning to bend the fabric of reality itself. Above them, hidden in orbit, humanity's real weapons waited silently. Not missiles or laser cannons, but devices that could tear apart the quantum structure of matter itself. The aliens were about to learn that looking primitive didn't mean being primitive, and that underestimating humanity would be the last mistake their mighty fleet would ever make. The alien fleet arrived at Pluto's orbit with a display of power that shook the solar system. Their massive ships, each one gleaming like a dark star, moved into formation around the distant planet. The first speaker's transmission reached Earth moments later, broadcasting on all frequencies in perfect English. People of Earth, the voice boomed through every speaker and device on the planet. Your primitive civilization has been chosen to join our empire. Resist, and you will be destroyed. Submit, and you may survive as our servants. To demonstrate their power, they did something that made even the bravest military leaders catch their breath. A beam of energy shot from the lead ship, striking Pluto. The dwarf planet didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, turned to scattered atoms in an instant. In the United Defense Council chamber, Admiral Thompson watched the display with carefully hidden satisfaction. The aliens were putting on exactly the show they had hoped for. Proud, arrogant, and completely unaware of humanity's true capabilities. "Send the response," she ordered, nodding to Tom Richards. They had prepared this message carefully, making it sound desperate but dignified. A message that would play perfectly into the aliens' expectations. Earth's reply was broadcast from old-style radio towers, the kind of technology the aliens would expect from a primitive species. "Great ones," the message began, using appropriately humble terms. "We are awed by your power and wish to avoid any conflict. We ask for 3 days to prepare our surrender terms and make peace with our fate." The council chamber fell silent as they waited for a response. Everything depended on these next moments. If the aliens grew suspicious, if they decided to attack immediately, all their preparations would be worthless. The first speaker's reply came quickly, their tone dripping with amused contempt. "You have your 3 days, little humans. Use them to contemplate your new place in the universe. Any attempt at resistance will result in your planet sharing Pluto's fate." Tom couldn't help but smile as the transmission ended. Below ground, the quantum grid hummed to life, its power hidden behind layers of scientific advancement the aliens couldn't even imagine. They had their 3 days. The aliens settled their fleet near Mars, confident in their absolute superiority. Their scans of Earth showed exactly what they expected: primitive missile systems being loaded, simple energy shields being charged, and small space fighters preparing for a hopeless last stand. Everything about Earth's defenses screamed of a civilization barely able to reach their own moon. Throughout those first 24 hours, the aliens watched as humans ran around in apparent panic. Military bases buzzed with obvious activity, moving outdated weapons into position. Civilian populations were evacuated from coastal cities, as if that could save them from the aliens' weapons. The first speaker watched all this from their command ship, sending regular reports of their easy conquest back to their empire. Their scans showed no signs of quantum technology, no dark matter manipulation, nothing that could possibly threaten their fleet. Just as their intelligence had suggested, humans were primitive beings who had rushed to the stars before mastering the fundamental forces of the universe. What their scans couldn't detect was the web of quantum energy spreading through the solar system. Hidden in plain sight, disguised as normal power fluctuations, humanity's true defense grid grew stronger by the hour. The aliens' own energy weapons, used so casually to destroy Pluto, had given Earth's scientists the final data they needed to perfect their targeting systems. In orbit, fake satellites tracked the alien fleet's movements while real quantum sensors, invisible to conventional scans, mapped every detail of their ships. Each display of alien technology, meant to intimidate, only revealed more about their weaknesses. The first speaker sent one final message before the first day ended. "Your panic amuses us, humans. Your primitive attempts at defense are touching. Remember this mercy when you serve us. Remember that we gave you time to accept your fate." In the council chamber, Tom watched the message replay. thinking about the aliens' choice of words. They had given humanity time. Time to prepare, not surrender, but a response that would shake the galaxy. The invaders thought they were being merciful. Soon, they would learn that mercy without wisdom was just another form of arrogance. Deep beneath the lunar surface, Dr. James Walker studied the data streaming in from Earth's hidden sensors. The alien fleet's energy signatures told a story that made his heart race with excitement. Every weapon they fired, every shield they powered, revealed more about the fundamental flaw in their technology. "Look at this pattern," he said to Tom Richards, who had come to the lunar base to oversee the final preparations. "They're using concentrated energy fields for everything. Weapons, shields, even their ship engines. But there's not a single quantum field in their entire fleet." Tom leaned closer to the screen, watching the complex patterns of energy flow through the alien vessels. "They developed space travel first," he said softly. "They'd reach for the stars before they understood the deeper secrets of the universe. Just like the warning message tried to tell us. The quantum defense grid was nearly ready. Hidden generators across Earth, and the moon worked in perfect harmony, weaving an invisible web of altered reality through the solar system. To the alien scanners, it all looked like background radiation, the normal chaos of space. Earth's apparent preparations for surrender continued on schedule. Old missiles were rolled out of their silos. Outdated fighter ships made clumsy patrol runs near the atmosphere. Every move was calculated to reinforce the aliens' belief in human weakness. The first Speaker's fleet had settled into a holding pattern around Mars, their ships forming a net that could tighten around Earth at any moment. They watched the humans' frantic activity with amusement, not bothering to hide their communications from Earth's primitive scanning technology. But they weren't watching closely enough. In the depths of space, quantum sensors mapped every detail of their fleet. Each alien transmission, each power surge, each shield adjustment revealed more about their technological limits. They had mastered the art of channeling massive amounts of energy, but had never learned to manipulate the quantum fabric of space itself. James pulled up another display, showing the completed analysis of the alien weapons. "See this?" He pointed to a complex diagram. "When they destroyed Pluto, they used a simple energy beam. Incredibly powerful, yes, but it still followed the basic laws of physics. They never discovered how to alter those laws themselves." Tom nodded, understanding the implications. Humanity had taken a different path. While other civilizations rushed to build bigger ships and more powerful weapons, humans had looked deeper. They had learned to twist reality itself, to bend the quantum rules that govern the universe. The quantum defense grid was humanity's masterpiece, a network of devices that could alter the very fabric of space-time, not by brute force, like the aliens' weapons, but by changing the fundamental rules those weapons relied on. "How much longer?" Tom asked, watching the grid's power levels climb steadily. 6 hours, James replied. "Maybe less. The alien attack on Pluto actually helped us. Their weapon signatures gave us the final data we needed to calibrate our quantum fields perfectly." In orbit around Earth, disguised satellites continued broadcasting fake defense readings. The aliens saw exactly what they expected. Primitive energy shields powering up, simple weapon systems charging, all hopeless against their superior technology. The first speaker sent another message, their voice filled with smug satisfaction. "Your defense preparations are noted, humans. Your determination is admirable, but futile. Tomorrow, you will witness true power." Tom smiled at the irony of those words. The aliens thought they were watching humanity's desperate last stand. Instead, they were witnessing the most elaborate trap in human history. James made a final adjustment to the quantum grid's calibration. "There's something poetic about this," he said. "They crossed the galaxy, destroying civilizations with their advanced technology. But in the end, their greatest weakness was their own success." "They never had to look deeper," Tom agreed. "They never needed to understand the quantum nature of reality because their regular weapons were enough. Until now." Above them, the alien fleet waited confidently, their superior weapons ready to destroy another primitive civilization. They had no way of knowing that this time they weren't the hunters. This time, they were the ones walking into a trap. In just a few hours, they would learn that sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the biggest weapons, but the one who took a different path to power. The first sign of trouble came from Mars. The alien fleet had grown restless during their wait, their ships moving in tighter patterns around the red planet. The first speaker's patience was wearing thin as they watched Earth's primitive defenses continue their pointless preparations. These humans test our generosity. The first speaker's message echoed through their command ship. Perhaps they need a reminder of their situation. Without warning, they fired on the small defense stations orbiting Mars, expecting them to shatter like glass. The stations didn't explode. Instead, they seemed to absorb the energy beams, their surfaces glowing with a strange, shifting light. For a brief moment, confusion spread through the alien fleet. This wasn't how primitive technology should react to their weapons. In the Lunar Command Center, Tom Richards watched the aliens' reaction with tight-lipped satisfaction. The Mars stations were more than just bait. They were the first layer of humanity's trap, disguised as simple defense platforms, but built with quantum technology that could capture and store massive amounts of energy. Energy absorption at 90%, James reported, his eyes fixed on the readings. The stations are working perfectly. Each hit charges our grid faster than we could have done it ourselves. Admiral Thompson's voice came through the quantum comlink, impossible for the aliens to detect. All stations report ready. The grid is charged beyond our expectations. Their own attack just gave us more power than we planned for. The first speaker, unsettled by the strange behavior of the Mars stations, ordered a second volley. More energy beams lanced out, more powerful than before. Again, the stations absorbed the attacks, their quantum fields drinking in the raw power like a sponge soaking up water. "They're getting nervous," Tom observed, watching the alien fleet's formation tighten. They've never seen their weapons fail like this, but they still think it's some kind of malfunction, not a deliberate defense. The alien ships began to move, spreading out into attack formation. Their scans still showed Earth's pathetic missile silos and weak energy shields, but the first speaker had seen enough. Whatever was happening at Mars, they wouldn't wait any longer. "Your tricks with our weapons are noted, humans," the first speaker broadcast, "but they change nothing. Your time is up. Prepare for..." The message cut off mid-sentence. The quantum grid, fully charged with the aliens' own energy and spread through the solar system like an invisible web, had begun to activate. Reality itself seemed to shimmer around the alien fleet as quantum fields shifted and overlapped. For the first time, genuine alarm spread through the alien ranks. Their sensors, designed to detect normal energy and matter, couldn't understand what was happening around them. The space between their ships seemed to twist and bend in ways that defied their understanding of physics. "Multiple ships reporting shield failures," James announced, reading the incoming data. "Their power systems are trying to compensate, but they can't handle quantum interference. They never developed countermeasures because they never imagined this kind of attack was possible." The first speaker's ship launched a desperate attack against the Mars stations, hoping to stop whatever was happening. But the stations were just the visible part of humanity's defense. The real trap was everywhere and nowhere, woven into the quantum fabric of space itself. "Should we respond to their attack?" one of the lunar base operators asked. Tom shook his head. "Not yet. Let them wear themselves out. Every shot they fire feeds more energy into our grid. They're just making what's coming even worse for themselves." The alien fleet's formation had completely broken down now. Ships moved in random patterns, trying to escape the invisible effects of the quantum grid. Some tried to retreat, only to find their engines fighting against altered space-time itself. Others fired blindly, their energy weapons absorbed and redirected by fields they couldn't even detect. "The grid is at maximum charge," James reported. "All quantum fields are stable and synchronized. We can end this whenever you give the word. Tom looked at the tactical display one last time. The mighty alien fleet, which had destroyed so many civilizations, was now trapped in humanity's web. They had come expecting to find primitive beings barely able to reach their own moon. Instead, they had stumbled into the carefully laid trap of a species that had mastered the quantum foundations of reality itself. "Send the signal," Tom ordered. "Let's show them what real advanced technology looks like." Admiral Thompson stood in the United Defense Council chamber, her finger hovering over the activation control. Around her, the room had fallen completely silent. On the main screen, the alien fleet hung suspended in their own confusion, their mighty ships now trapped in humanity's quantum web. "For all the worlds you destroyed," she whispered, "for all the civilizations you erased." Her finger pressed down, triggering humanity's response. The quantum defense grid activated with a power that defied conventional physics. There was no dramatic explosion, no massive energy beam, just a subtle ripple that spread through space like a stone dropped in a still pond. But where this ripple touched the alien ships, reality itself began to unravel. The first speaker's desperate transmission cut through the silence. "What is this? How can you? This is impossible. You're primitives. You barely reached your moon." Tom Richards, watching from the lunar base, allowed himself a grim smile. "That was your mistake," he transmitted back. "You thought reaching the moon was our best achievement. You never asked why we stopped there." The quantum grid's effect spread faster now. Alien shields, designed to stop energy and matter, were useless against an attack that changed the basic rules of physics around them. Their mighty warships began to break apart at the atomic level, their very matter dissolving as quantum fields rewrote the laws that held their atoms together. "Full quantum cascade initiated," James reported from his station. "Grid stability at 100%. Energy absorption and redirection working exactly as planned." The alien fleet's formation collapsed completely. Some ships tried to escape, their engines straining against space that no longer worked the way they understood. Others attempted to fire their weapons, only to watch their energy beams twist and vanish into quantum sinkholes that fed their power back into Earth's defense grid. "This is impossible." The first speaker's voice had lost all its previous arrogance. "Your species is too young, too primitive. You cannot have this level of quantum manipulation." "We took a different path," Admiral Thompson replied calmly. "While you conquered space, we studied reality itself. While you built bigger ships, we learned to change the rules of the universe. You thought reaching the stars was the mark of advancement. We knew better." The effect spread exponentially now. Alien ships didn't explode or burn. They simply ceased to exist as the quantum grid unraveled the forces holding their matter together. Their atoms scattered into space, transformed into pure energy that the grid absorbed and redirected, making itself even stronger. In the lunar base, James watched the sensor readings with a mixture of awe and satisfaction. 90% of their fleet has been neutralized, he reported. Their matter is being converted cleanly. No radiation, no debris. The grid is containing and processing everything perfectly. The first speaker's final transmission showed none of their earlier confidence. "Stop. We surrender. We acknowledge your power. We'll give you anything you want." "You gave us exactly what we wanted," Tom replied. "You gave us your energy to power our grid. You gave us your arrogance to ensure you wouldn't retreat. And most importantly, you gave us your attention. Now the galaxy will know that humanity is not to be underestimated." The quantum cascade reached its peak. In less than 6 minutes from Admiral Thompson's command, the entire alien fleet, hundreds of ships that had terrorized the galaxy, was reduced to scattered atoms. Their matter and energy, transformed by quantum fields they never understood, became part of humanity's defense system. As the grid powered down, Admiral Thompson opened a channel to all Earth's military commands. "The threat has been neutralized. Humanity's first interstellar battle is over. Let the record show that we didn't win with bigger ships or stronger weapons. We won because we looked deeper into the universe's secrets than our enemies ever imagined possible. In the lotus of silence that followed, Tom looked out at the now empty space where the alien fleet had been. There was no debris, no wreckage, just the quiet stars and the invisible quantum web that had changed everything. Humanity had revealed its true power, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the alien fleet's destruction, Dr. James Walker finally managed to decode the corrupted part of the original warning message. He sat in the lunar base's main lab, surrounded by screens showing the aftermath of humanity's victory. The quantum defense grid had returned to its dormant state, invisible to conventional sensors, but ready to activate at a moment's notice. "You need to see this," he called to Tom Richards, who had been overseeing the cleanup of the scattered energy readings left by the fleet's destruction. The warning message. I can't believe what it actually said. Tom walked over, his eyes scanning the decoded text. The message from the survivors was clear now. Beware the young ones who looked inward before outward. They understand the quantum nature of reality. Do not underestimate them because they haven't spread across the stars. Their path was different, but their power is beyond anything you have encountered. They weren't warning us about the fleet, Tom said slowly. They were warning the fleet about us. In the United Defense Council chamber, Admiral Thompson received the decoded message with a quiet laugh. The mighty alien empire had ignored the one piece of intelligence that could have saved them. Their own arrogance had blinded them to the truth that technological advancement didn't always follow the same path. Earth's quantum sensors detected something new. A different fleet approached the solar system, but this one moved cautiously, broadcasting peace signals on all frequencies. It was the survivors, finally revealing themselves. Their ships were different from the destroyed fleet, smaller, more elegant, designed to work with quantum fields rather than fight against them. They had been watching, waiting to see if humanity would survive the Empire's attack. The survivors' leader spoke directly to the Council, their tone respectful and warm. "We knew you would succeed," they said. "We saw how your civilization developed, how you mastered quantum manipulation before reaching for the stars. We sent the warning to the Empire, knowing they wouldn't understand it, knowing their pride would lead them to their doom." Tom stood with James in the lunar base, watching the diplomatic exchange. They used us as a weapon, he realized. They knew we could defeat the Empire when they couldn't. "Not a weapon," James corrected. "A lesson. The Empire needed to learn that their way wasn't the only path to power. They needed to understand that looking down on younger civilizations was a fatal mistake." The survivors shared their story. They too had developed quantum technology early, but not early enough to defend themselves when the Empire first attacked. They had survived by hiding, by watching, by learning. When they discovered Earth and saw humanity's unique development path, they knew they had found the force that could break the Empire's power. Admiral Thompson invited the survivors to Earth for proper diplomatic talks. As their ships approached, their quantum technology working in perfect harmony with humanity's defense grid, she reflected on how differently things could have gone if the Empire had simply shown humility instead of arrogance. The news spread across Earth. Humanity had not only survived its first interstellar conflict, but had emerged as a recognized power in the galaxy. The quantum defense grid became the foundation of a new era of space exploration, allowing humans to finally reach for the stars while maintaining their unique understanding of reality's deepest secrets. In the weeks that followed, more alien civilizations made contact. Some came seeking alliance, others offering trade, but all showing the respect that the Empire had fatally failed to give. Humanity's path of development, once seen as slow and primitive, was now recognized as a revolutionary approach to understanding the universe. Tom stood at the lunar base's observation window one last time before returning to Earth. The stars looked different now, knowing what was out there, knowing humanity's place among them. "We never needed to prove we were powerful," he said to James. "We just needed them to learn that being different didn't mean being weak." James nodded, finalizing the records of humanity's first and most decisive interstellar battle. 6 minutes, he mused. It took 6 minutes to change the galaxy forever. Not with brute force or superior numbers, but with a deeper understanding of how reality works. The quantum defense grid hummed quietly in the background, its power hidden once again behind veils of seemingly primitive technology. Earth had revealed its strength, but not all of it. The next empire that came looking for easy conquest would learn the same lesson. Underestimating humanity was a mistake that could only be made once.